All right, everyone, let's go ahead and do this. This is homework number 2 for chapter 6. Okay, number 15 says solve for y. So really, if we're working on this, we just want to make sure that the y is totally by itself on one side. And if you look here, y is sitting right there, all by, but it's stuck with the 4, and then which is also stuck with the 8x. So if we want to solve for the y, we got to get rid of 8x first. So you got to do the opposite, minus 8x minus 8x. Okay, by doing that, these 8x's cancel, and now we will only have 4y equals, and you can put it any way you want, but I'm going to go ahead and put the minus 8x in the front. Okay, and then I'm going to put the positive 2, and because it doesn't have a symbol with it, I'm going to put positive 2 behind it. Excuse me. And then to wrap it up, I'm just going to go ahead and get rid of the 4 because it's stuck with the y. So I'm going to go ahead and divide it by 4, and which means that I'm going to divide everything over here by 4. Okay, and I might have shown you guys yesterday on yesterday's homework, but if I'm dividing everything by 4, that means that everything gets a division by 4, just like how I'm writing it now. These will cancel, and I will finally have my answer of y equals. Okay, and then I need to figure out negative 8 right here. Negative 8 divided by 4 makes negative 2. Don't forget your x. And I got to figure this out as well. Positive 2 divided by 4. Okay. Now, that's not 4 divided by 2, right? If you have 4 and you want to split that up into 2 ways, you will get 2 each, right? But this is a little different. This is if I have 2 and I want to split that 2 into 4 parts, right? Because it says divided by 4. So if I want to do that, I have to go and do it like this. See, now that's split into 4. And each of those are 1/2. 1/2. That makes 1. 1/2 and 1/2. Right? That's why if you type this into the calculator, it'll give you 0.5 because that means 1/2. So my final answer, y equals negative 2x plus 1/2. Or you can put 0.5 right there if you like. Okay? So be careful about 2 divided by 4 and don't think of it as 4 divided by 2. Okay, if you need it, you can pause, you can rewind and whatnot, but I'm going to go ahead and leave this answer right there. Okay. This next one, again, we want to solve for y, and y is sitting right here. That means we need to get rid of everything that's on the same side as y. So first, I'm going to get rid of that 12x by doing the opposite, minus 12x and minus 12x. Okay, and that's going to cancel out, and I will be left with negative 3y equals, and again, I'm going to write the negative 12x in the front. You can write it in the back, right? And then I'm going to put the positive 7 in the back. So since it's a positive 7, I'm going to write it in the back. Okay, then I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to get rid of the negative 3, which is multiplying it to y, which the opposite of negative 3 multiply y is divided by negative 3. And again, I'm going to divide the whole thing by negative 3, but again, I can rewrite this as, instead of doing it like that, I can do it as divided by negative 3 and divided by negative 3. And that's going to cancel, and it's going to leave me with just my y. Okay, and negative 12 divided by negative 3 is positive 4. Don't forget your x. And then negative 7 divided by negative 3. You can't actually do that evenly. So I'm going to go ahead and just leave it as a fraction of 7 divided by 3, or 7/3. And positive divided by negative leaves me with a negative. So my final answer, and if you need to pause it and copy it before I erase it, pause it. Right? But my final answer, y equals 4x minus 7/3. And my final answer, I'm going to leave it right there. Okay, so number 16, I'm supposed to solve for each equation and then check if possible, right? So for A, I'm going to go ahead and combine like term that's on the same side, and meaning that that's equal right there. That means the left side, I'm going to have to combine these together. And right-hand side, I'm going to have to combine these together. Okay, so I'm going to actually make a little bit more space for myself. So I'll come back to this in a second. Okay, so left side, I'm going to combine my 8a and my one more a, and that's going to make 9a minus 3 equals. And then on my right hand side, I'm going to combine these two, 6a minus 2a, and that's going to give me 4a minus 3. Okay, and then from there, I need to combine like term on opposite sides, and because they're on opposite sides, I need to do the inverse operation. So I'm going to go minus 4a and minus 4a right here. So that way my 4a's would disappear. Okay, and I'm going to be left with 9a minus 4a is 5a minus 3 equals negative 3. Then now I need to put my numbers together. So I'm going to have to get rid of the minus 3 first. I'm going to go plus 3. That's the opposite. And that's going to cancel. And also cancels over here. Didn't mean to, but it actually happens. So I'll be left with 0 over here. And I'll be left with 5a over here. And I still got to finish this up because on my left side, I still have a 5 with a, so I need to go ahead and divide it by 5 to get rid of my 5. So I would have only a left over. So a equals, and 0 divided by 5 is 0. Okay, so my final answer is 0. If you need to pause it or stop it for a second, stop it right now because I'm going to erase it. Okay, now to check it, I just got to put in 0 for a. Okay, so if a is 0, so right here, if I put 0 right here, and I put 0 right here, and I put 0 right here, and I put 0 right here, do I get the same answer, right? Does it work out? Let's see. If I put 0 times 8, that makes 0 plus 0. That's still 0. 0 take away 3 is negative 3. Okay? And then on my right-hand side, I get 6 times 0, that's 0. Minus 2 times 0, that's 0. And 0 take away 3, that's also negative 3. And in the middle is the equal. So you know what? This works out because negative 3 is the same as negative 3. So this checks out. Okay? So my answer A equals 0. And while I'm at it, I'm going to go ahead and do C. Okay, I'm already on this side. So C looks like I need to solve for x. So in this case, I am going to go ahead and subtract 1. So I'll have x over 2 equals, and these 1 and positive 1 cancel. 6 minus 1 is 5. Now I just need to finish this off by multiplying it by 2 because the opposite of divided by 2 is multiplication by 2. And by doing that, this division by 2 and the multiplication by 2 cancels. And I'm left with x equals, and then got to figure this out, 5 times 2. Whoa, that's pretty interesting. 5 times 2 gets me 10. And that's my final answer. Again, if you need to pause it, because I'm going to be erasing it, pause it or stop it. Okay, but what I'm going to do is, that's my answer. Actually, so to check my answer, I'm going to put 10 in place of the x. So if I put 10 right here, okay, right here, it's going to be 10 divided by 2 is 5. And 5 plus 1, okay, does that equal 6? 5 plus 1 is 6. So 6 equals 6. So that checks out as well. So my answer is x equals 10. Okay, B. Looks like I can do distributive or area model. Okay, let me see. Let's just say I want to do area model, right? So n plus 2 and n plus 3. You guys forgot how to do this already. M plus 2, M plus 3. All right, so what do I get? M times M is M squared. M times 2 is a positive 2M. M times positive 3 is a positive 3M. And positive 3 times positive 2 is a positive 5. So M plus 2 times M plus 3 makes M squared. Plus, we got positive 3M, positive 2M makes positive 5M. And then we also have that positive 5. Okay, so all of that turns into this right here. Okay, so I'm going to move it over just a little bit. Okay, and that's supposedly equal to, now on this side, it's another area model. M plus 2, M minus 2. Okay, if I'm doing the work, again, M times M is M squared. M times 2 is a positive 2M. Excuse me. M times negative 2 is a negative 2M. Negative 2 times positive 2 is a negative 4. Okay, and when I combine them, I have M squared. And then when I combine negative 2M and positive 2M, that actually they're opposites, and that just goes away, so that's 0. And then I still have the minus 4. Okay, so if you need to pause it and stop and look at it for a bit, do it. If not, I'm going to erase it. Excuse me. Okay, so we're not done yet. So what we have is we have these two instead of that. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and put together like terms. So I can combine my M squared, so I can go minus M squared and minus M squared. And that's going to cross these out, but that also crosses these out. So I actually don't have any more M squares. Okay, next I have 5M plus 5, and left over is negative 4. Okay, I'm going to go and combine my numbers. So I'm going to go minus 5M. Excuse me, minus 5. And these are going to cross out. And I'm going to have 5M equals negative 9. Because negative 4 and negative 5 makes negative 9. And then I'm going to go ahead and finish it off by dividing by 5, because 5 times M, opposite is divided by 5. And these are going to cross out. And I get my final answer, M equals negative 9 over 5. You cannot divide that, or you could, but it's not going to be nice. So I'm going to go ahead and leave it as M equals negative 9 divided by 5. Okay, so I'm just going to leave that as my answer. Okay, D. And I'm not going to check that one. Just so you know, I'm not going to check that one. The last one, combining like terms. Let's see. I can go minus t to the second power and minus t to the second power. Okay, which is going to cancel those and also cancel those. So that's actually going to be pretty nice. I'm going to be left with 4t minus 2 equals 6. Then I'm just going to go ahead and from here, I'm going to go ahead and add 2. That's going to cancel. So I'll have 4t equals 6 plus 2 is 8. And I'm going to finish off by dividing by 4. That's going to cancel, and I will finally have my t all by itself. And t equals 8 divided by 4, which is 2. Okay. And from there, I'm going to go ahead and write down that that's my answer. And I also will not be checking this one. You can check it if you want. Okay. Last two. This one, when I'm working on that, okay, I'm actually, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and bring this down a bit. May need a little extra work. Okay. So I'm going to actually redo that because that looks like it's missing a lot of numbers. Okay. So it's 1, 1, and then it's missing 2, 3, 4, and then it's got 5, right? So I'm going to see if I can actually figure out this pattern here, right? And 5 is -7. So if I'm thinking, okay, so what should I do to 1 to get to that next number, and then do it to that to get the next number, and do it there to get the next number, and then finally do the same thing, and I'll get -7, right? And let's draw a quick number line for this, right? Okay, so look, here's 0, here's 1, -1, -2, -3, -4, -5, -6, -7, right? Okay, so in my first term is at 1, okay? That's my first term. And my last term, my fifth term is at 7, right? And I need 3 more spaces in between, right? I need to know what can I do to go from here to over here in 3 jumps, okay? So I'm going to count and see how many I have. So from 1, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 jumps. Is that? Right? And I need to make sure that I have 3 more spots in there. Okay, so I'm thinking about this, and I'm thinking, just looking at how to divide this, right? So if I divide it, I'm thinking right there, right there, right there, and then that finishes off the end, right? So if I jump every 2, it goes down. Every 2, it goes down. So 1 right there. So first term, second term, if I go, and this looks like it's perfectly evenly spaced. So second term, if I say that's going to be -1. Third term, it's going to be -3. Fourth term, it's going to be -5. And fifth term is going to be 7. And it actually works out pretty perfectly. Okay. So pause this if you need to take a moment to look at it. Okay, but I'm going to go ahead and delete all of that. All right, so it looks like what's happening is I am going down by 2 every time. So 1 and then -2 makes -1. -1 minus 2 makes -5. -5 minus 2 makes -7. And on and on and on. Okay, and I'm actually going to go ahead and write an equation because this looks like it's pretty difficult if I don't write an equation because I have to go all the way to 23 or 10. So remember, we talked about this in class, but if I want an equation, okay, I can write it as y equals, and then what's going on? Well, it's -2 that's going on. So -2x, and then to get my last thing, I need my 0 term. So that's why I'm actually using this. So if I go down, it's going to be -2, but if I go back up the other direction, it's going to be +2. So if I want to know what the 0 term is, I have to take 1 and I have to add 2 to it. So 1 plus 2 is 3. So the 0 term is 3. So that means that I need to do a +3 right here. And we'll see if that works out. Okay, we'll see if that works out. Okay, because I'm going to use it to try number 10 right now. Right, so if I want to see if this works, so 10, if I put in 10 right here, I should get 17, negative 17 as my answer. So do I get that, right? So if I put in 10, 10 times negative 2 is going to be negative 20 plus 3, and that does give me negative 17, right? So that does work, okay? So this one works. So that means that now I can do 23, okay? So again, I'm going to do this over again. I'm going to go ahead and put in 23. So if my x is 23, I know they use n, right? But you use x. When my x is 23, I'm going to get 23 times negative 2, which is negative 46 plus 3, right? The negative 46 plus 3 is going to be negative 43. So that's my final answer for 23 is going to be negative 43. Okay. Okay, let's look at B. Again, if you need to pause it before I erase everything, pause it. Okay, so I want to figure out what's going on. From 10 to 18, it looks like I'm adding 8, but it doesn't look like it's doing the same thing. It doesn't look like it's plus 8. See that? So that doesn't work. So that means that it's not really plus 8. Okay, so I got to figure out another pattern. I'm going to use a calculator for this one. Okay. Sorry. Okay, because calculator is going to help us. Okay, so because it's not adding, and again, we can try this 18, take away 10, because I want to know what goes on from the 18 to the 10. So that means that I'm adding 8. Okay, but if I do 32.4 and I take away 18, that's not going to be 8 again. See that? It's 14.4. So we know we're not adding the same thing, but we can probably try, maybe we're multiplying the same thing. So if I'm doing it, if I'm checking it, I'm going to go ahead and do division. So I'm going to start with 18. Okay, I'm going to go 18, and I'm going to go ahead and divide it by 10 and see what happens there. So 18 divided by 10, I get 1.8. Okay, and because I'm checking it this way, I'm dividing it. So that means that if I'm doing it the other way, if I'm going forward, that means that I'm going to be multiplying it. I'm going to be multiplying it by 1.8. Okay, and I'm going to just check that to see if this works. Okay, do I multiply by 1.8? Okay, you can check it yourself if you don't believe me. Right, so I'm going to go ahead and do 10 times 1.8, and that gives me 18, which works right here. Okay, but now I'm going to start with 18, and I'm going to do 18 times 1.8. And lo and behold, check it out. It's 32.4, so that actually does work. So if I want to figure out the last one, I just have to go times, so 32.4 times 1.8. So I got 32.4, and I'm going to go ahead and times it by 1.8. It's going to be 58.32. Okay, and I used a little shortcut on the calculator, but you can do 32.4 times 1.8, and it's the same thing, 58.32. So that's your answer. Okay, and all that was found by multiplying it by 1.8, and that is your final answer. All right, keep working.